Hi, and welcome back to Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants, the go-to podcast for holistic health seekers looking to harness the power of nature for health and healing. I'm Jen. I'm a passionate health educator, a whole food, plant-based culinary coach, and a master herbalist. And I'm here with Dan, an exercise specialist and a wonderful master herbalist. Together, we dive into the world of natural healing, bringing you a wealth of knowledge and practical advice. We draw from both traditional wisdom and modern science with herbs and foods to help you achieve optimal health. And so today we're talking about inflammation because we hear about so many people, the anti-inflammatory diet, we're doing this to decrease inflammation, prevent inflammation. The word's everywhere. It's connected to heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, Alzheimer's, autoimmune, digestive issues, colitis, so on. And modern research continues to connect chronic inflammation with all of these health challenges that we have today. But it's not new. Many years ago, before it became a popular health topic, our herbalist, Dr. John Christopher, that's where Dan and I both went to the School of Natural Healing. That was his school. You may have heard of Dr. Christopher's herbal products in the stores. Dr. Richard Schultz. We also learned from him and Dr. Christopher Hobbs. But they talked a lot about inflammation and the burden that it puts on the body and how it leads to um, issues, diseases, and things like that. And so that we want to talk about that today and get into it. Is inflammation good, bad? What do we do about it? That kind of thing. But before I continue, I want to remind you that this podcast is for educational purposes only. We are not doctors. We are not working with you one on one. And so we are not diagnosing, treating, prescribing. We are not telling you to use or not use any of the foods and herbs that we're talking about today. So if these things align with your way of thinking, then do a little more research to see if they're right for you. So, Dan, let's start by identifying what is inflammation.
Well, there's good and there's bad inflammation. And so when you get an injury, say you cut yourself, you sprain your ankle, something like that, your body, it creates inflammation to help the healing process.
Mhm.
But what we're talking about today is chronic inflammation. And a lot of us don't even know that we have it because you can't feel it.
It's invisible.
Yeah, we're talking about internal inflammation, inflammation in your organs, and it's in the inside. And
Hmm.
this threat never goes off. It's kind of like chronic anxiety where your cortisol stays up. This is very similar.
Right.
And of course, I guess chronic anxiety would make you more inflamed too, but that's another
It
topic.
would. Yes. Well, and I was thinking too, you said you don't feel it. I think we do feel it. We just don't recognize it as being chronic inflammation.
Yeah, a lot of people say, well, it's just 'cause I'm getting older. That's the reason I have these little aches and pains all the time. I'm stiff,
Slowing down.
you know? Yeah. And they usually don't connect the dots that it could have been that cheeseburger you had at McDonald's the other day. It could have been that late night alcoholic drink.
Yeah, the sugar in your granola this morning.
And aging alone increases inflammation in the body.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
so I teach people as we get older, I don't want the body gets a little more fragile, I say. And all that means though is you got to take better care of it.
Yes. Well, and if you think about it, like for me, so I got my master's in health science back in the 90s. And so then I was in my late 20s. And so in my late 20s, I started learning about nutrition. So that means up until then, I was definitely not eating a healthy diet. Definitely not. Like I may have thought I was, but it definitely, a lot of inflammatory foods, especially beverages. Sweet tea. Sweet tea is huge here in the South, and no telling how much sugar I was getting just in my sweet tea alone, as well as my Dr. Peppers and my Reese's peanut butter cups, and things like that that I was eating. So I didn't even learn about healthier foods until my late 20s. So I had needed to undo almost 30 years of poor eating. And then when I did learn more about healthy food, I learned what's written in nutrition textbooks. And so what is written in the textbooks doesn't necessarily align with the best research out there. And so I learned a lot more since then. And new information comes out. Back then we were taught that if you ate a vegan diet, you had to combine different foods to get complete amino acids, which is not true. You don't have to do that. But that's what we learned back then. And it was dangerous not to eat vegan, that kind of thing. Anyway, so it wasn't really until I was in my another 20 years later, and so for me, 40 something years of poor eating, there's going to be inflammation in there. Well, the first 20 years, I didn't have any health concerns or issues. I was a very healthy person because my body was able to repair on its own. I was still getting some of the nutrition. My body processes were working well, but then the more I added on those sugars, high fats, saturated fats, meats, ultra processed foods, sugar, more sugar, those things, the harder it is for your body to recover. Your liver starts to get congested, things start to build up. And so it's not necessarily because we're aging, it's because our body's been, working so hard for so long trying to get us back to our set point.
Yeah, and so a lot of people blame that on aging, and it's really
Right.
40, 50, 60 years of not living right, and most of our clients, they come to us after, and look, I wouldn't say a lifestyle of unhealthy habits, but some people aren't even aware because
Right.
there's so much marketing out there telling you that this food's good for you, and
Yeah.
it's not really, it's
Right.
really just processed.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're so swayed by what we're seeing in the media and not really what's true. And so many people are following these trends, taking so many supplements. And when you ask them what's in it and why are you taking it, A, they don't know why they're taking it. B, they don't even know what all's in the supplement. And then when we look at the quote on other ingredients, which is so important, please, my number one rule for food, supplements, anything is read the ingredients. Don't put it on your skin. Don't put it in your mouth. If you don't know what is in it? What is in that capsule or that tablet that you're taking? That could be leading to inflammation. You think you're doing something healthy for your body because you heard an influencer say you need to have this, or someone who's really great at marketing. And in fact, you're adding to the inflammatory load.
Yeah, and even the current new food pyramid is a crock too. And so people are going to believe that because the government said so, but it's not.
Right.
It's not good.
It's on our
We're
government
going back
food
in the dark
pyramid.
ages.
Yes, yes, it is. We're undoing all of this important information. Yes, but things that lead to inflammation, number one can be chronic stress, like you said, cortisol, just chronic stress. When we are under a lot of stress, like if you think about it, if you are somebody scares you, what happens? Your eyes open up really wide. Your heart rate starts beating really fast. You're taking these shallow breaths. You're all geared up. Your heart's racing. That is going to help you, be safe, protect your body. But if it's going on and on, if you pay attention, am I taking these shallow breaths? Is my heart racing? Is my blood pressure high? That kind of thing. If it's going on and on and on and on all the time, that's of course damaging your body. Your body is on alert. It can't do all the repair processes that it needs to do to recover and help you ease. And so we don't even know. I can't tell you how many clients, when they fill out their intake, they tell me that their stress level is a 5 out of 10. And then they tell me they're taking care of their mom who's in their 90s, running her to appointments, taking care, managing her income. She doesn't have an income, managing her bills and doctor's appointments, and then add on their spouse, their own health concerns, and then their children. And all of you who have children, even when your children are adults, my children are adults, is that the stress around them doesn't end. And so when I start asking about work and finances and bills and stuff like that, their stress is off the charts, and they just told me it's a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I guess it's what you get used to, right?
Right, right.
So, and so I think this is correlated. So now highly processed foods cause inflammation. And guess what? When you're stressed out all the time, how easy is it to reach for some processed food because it makes you feel better because it gives you a dopamine hit,
Yes.
but it's
And
just
provides those carbs,
yeah.
fast fuel. Yeah.
And so excess sugar, which is usually in the processed foods, causes
Yeah.
inflammation. I mean, it's just a smorgasbord of things that can cause this. And I don't want people to feel hopeless.
No, we're going to give you tips and hope in a minute.
Yeah, poor sleep, which is also correlated with stress.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of my clients tell me I can't sleep. I mean, I think, yeah,
Yeah.
all of my clients right now have sleep problems.
Right. Either not getting to bed on time, not staying asleep, getting up multiple times throughout the night to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big issue. Sleep hygiene
Right.
and sedentary lifestyle, which is really easy these days because people say, well, I'm just too busy to work out. Again, more stress.
Right. Right.
And of course, toxins. And hey, I live in one of the most toxic cities in America. So you remember the Monsanto around here where I live? They
Mhm.
pumped millions of tons of PCBs in the environment here.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so, and anywhere you live, you got toxins, even, the water, the air,
Yes.
the food, pesticides, you have to watch out for that. So,
Mhm.
of course, drinking too much alcohol, and look, they used to tell you that one drink of red wine is good for you. Now they come back and said, no, we were
No
wrong.
amount. Yes.
No
No
amount.
amount of alcohol is healthy. None. No
Nope.
amount of alcohol. Don't drink it.
Obesity is also a chronic condition that leads to inflammation.
Yeah.
And of course, everything was listed drives obesity, stress, processed foods, excess sugar, poor sleep, sedentary lifestyle, all those things drive obesity.
Yeah, I totally agree. When we go back to we go to our traditional wisdom part of our podcast and you go to the herbalists that we learned from, we learned from natural healing. The body heals itself. It takes what we provide to do those repairs, to make to clean the liver naturally, with the healthy foods and the herbs and the clean water. We have to give it the clean water, stop putting in the dirty water, stop putting in the dirty things. You think of the fish bowl. People talk about a fish bowl. If you're going to clean the fish bowl, do you clean the water or do you just give it healthy food? If the fish bowl is disgusting and I just keep throwing in more healthier food for my fish, is the bowl going to get clean? No, we have to replace the water at least. Well, you have to clean half of the water. If you get too much, it's too much of a change. That's a different story. But we need to clean up our water and our environment as well to help the body heal itself. It doesn't force it. We don't have to give special things. The body already knows how to do these things. But sometimes when we have gone too far, if it's been chronic, then we do need to assist the body. And we can use foods and herbs to help with better elimination because also one of the things we learned was all disease begins in the gut. We have to have a poop, at least one every day, hopefully one after every large meal. Your body should, all the mechanisms should trigger correctly. We have another podcast on all this on how it should work to remove toxins and irritants and things out and to stay in just long enough to feed those microbes to do what they need to do to create different nutrients that our body needs for repair, for gut integrity, and things like that. And so we need to put in the right inputs, the right nutrition, the clean water. We need to move our body so that we're circulating all those nutrients to all the little places in our body. We need to sleep because we repair when we're sleeping. You rest to digest, rest to repair. So you have to get appropriate sleep, but you also need to rest throughout the day and not be go, go, go from the morning. Your feet hit the ground, moment your feet hit the ground until you go to bed at night. And then lots of clean water, staying well hydrated. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, of course, we had to eliminate, but also one reason the gut is so important is because we have to keep our good gut bacteria and the right population to the bad bacteria, because if your gut is off, it's another thing that leads to inflammation. And so Dr. Christopher, man, do you remember that class we had? And David was up there. He said, so if you have any health condition, what do you do first? It was always lower bowel formula
Yes.
thing.
Yes. And
Because
always start with that. Yes.
always, because if you're
Open the
not,
bowels.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it starts there in the gut. I mean, if your gut is off,
Hmm.
can't get healthy.
Right. Right. And regular, we ask, do you have regular bowel movements? And regular, for somebody could be a large bowel movement after every large meal, or it could be, once a week. Or, as Dr. Chris, or was it Dr. Schultz had somebody who went every time she had her period. It was like
Yeah.
that was her regular. And it's like you don't even know how toxic you are if you're not going, that regularly. We have to go regularly. And what happens is we hold it. We're taught even in school to hold it, and we lose the motility in there. And you add on things like Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's affects motility. You could have IBS C that decreases motility so that it's not moving along the way it should, and that's when toxins increase and leads to more damage and things like that. And so we have to really work on healing the gut. It's just so important.
And it brings me back to the lower bowel formula. I don't sell it, but I'd recommend Chris's products.
Mhm.
He designed the lower bowel forms actually. If you have a motility problem, it helps to train the colon again to contract, because a lot of people, their colon gets weak. And then he recommended taking that formula for a year to
Yeah.
strengthen the colon reflex.
Right. And it's not addictive like an over-the-counter laxative or something like that. It helps to restore the mechanisms.
Yeah, it was made to take for a while and then you get off of it. You're going to restore your bowel movements. If you're not having at least one a day,
Yeah.
it's probably a good idea to try that formula. I don't know. You could probably, at first try to do more fiber and water, but if that doesn't work, you may need to add some herbs.
Right. Let's start with some foods that help with inflammation.
Beans and lentils, and we eat those every day, don't we, Jennifer?
Yes, those are my favorite.
And the Blue Zone, this guy, the Blue Zone, was it Dan? His name is Dan
Dan
Buettner.
Buettner. Hmm.
Yeah. Every culture that is long-lived with good health, they all have daily servings of beans.
Yeah, a minimum of a cup a day.
Mhm.
Yeah, so high in fiber and various types of fiber and B vitamins, which a lot of people struggle getting their B vitamins. Lots of resistance starch. People hear about resistant starch or they don't understand it, but that is a prebiotic. It helps with the gut lining and feeding those microbes that we were talking about earlier. Um, Beans, that resistant starch helps with blood sugar. You do have to be careful with that. You can overeat beans, and that can affect your blood sugar. It could also be what you're pairing it with. So if you eat beans with some cooked collard greens or some steamed spinach or on top of a giant salad, your blood sugar will be great. And Dr. Furman even showed in several studies that when you eat beans, like at lunch, it's going to help you better control your blood sugar at your next meal at dinner. Or you eat beans at dinner, it's going to help you have better control of your blood sugar at breakfast the next day. And so I love beans, and it's one of the things that really helped me with my inflammation. For those of you who don't know, I was diagnosed with autoimmune disease back in 2007, and so it's something that I have been, constantly doing, things I can to manage inflammation to keep it under control because I want to have that immune response to or inflammatory response if I get cut or hurt or something like that. But I also don't want it to get out of control.
The next food, this is, I think, one of the most healthy foods, is the leafy greens.
Yes. Yes, I've been traveling this week and it's the one thing I have missed the most. It's like when I'm at home, it's so easy to get my greens in multiple times during the day, but it's really hard when I'm traveling. But it doesn't have to be a giant salad. kale, collards, mustard greens, arugula. It could be a salad. It could be some steamed bok choy. I love steamed baby bok choy. Oh my gosh, that is so good. That could just be so good. Different. I'm craving it because I've been gone all week. But eating those greens, finding the way that you can eat them and really enjoy them in soups. Some people put them in their smoothies. You don't have to have a green smoothie. I don't have a green smoothie every day. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll just have like celery juice. That's still a green, right? But these foods are so high in magnesium and folate, not folic acid, which you get in supplements, carotenoids that helps with our immune health, our mucus system, then and our intestinal lining, and that's so important for that. Our vision, and then polyphenols, also very, very anti-inflammatory. What are your favorite greens, and how do you prepare yours, Dan?
I really like collards, and I actually make them either in my Instant Pot or I put them in a big pot and just let them boil and bring them to the simmer and simmer them. And I put onions, I put garlic, a little bit of salt. Um, they're really good too. I mean,
Yeah,
you ever
I would
try
like that.
you ever try them in the Instant Pot?
Yes, yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm like my mouth is watering. I'm like, oh, maybe I need to have that for dinner tonight.
Those are good. And
And
I like to pair them with sweet potatoes and hummus that I make.
yes, oh, that sounds delicious.
It is.
Yeah, or sweet potatoes and black beans.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, so good. I
Yeah.
also, when I cook greens like that, sometimes I'll put a little squeeze of lemon juice or some apple cider vinegar on top.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it's something like, so Dan and I are both from the South, and it's soul food, eating collards like this. And what we found is when you do things like that, add an acid to it, it helps with the absorption of all those minerals. Like people say, you can't get your calcium and magnesium and such from your greens because it's all bound. But when you add something like that, it helps with a better absorption of those minerals.
Another thing I'll do sometimes is get a whole container of the spinach leaves for salad.
Yes.
And I'll throw those in a skillet with a little bit of water and just let them, cook them down and then put
Mhm.
lemon juice on there.
Ooh,
Yum.
yeah.
It's really
Uh,
good.
and then I would throw on a can of white beans
Oh, oh yeah.
and garlic.
Oh yeah. I love,
Yes.
what are you talking about? Cannelli beans?
Yes.
Those are great.
Yeah,
And
that's
great northern beans, you can find those. Those are good too.
yes. Yeah, cannellini beans are what were in my breakfast this morning.
You're making me hungry. It's only
I know. And I ate breakfast like an hour ago, and I'm like, oh, I need some collard greens. I need some. Yes. So then the next food is my other favorite food. I'm going to say this for every food we say because I'm quite the foodie, but berries.
oh,
Blackberries. Like right now on our farm, we have dewberries and blackberries and raspberries and blueberries. And I just love this time of year for berries. Berries, they have those bright colors that are so high in anthocyanins, which are great for our heart and our brain, our blood circulation. They're so high in antioxidants. So that antioxidants is what helps our cells to repair from damage. So when we talk about aging, our cells are aging, is we what we need is antioxidants to help repair that. The aging is like a rusting, and the antioxidants, they help to prevent that rusting. And so we want to make sure we're eating foods that are high in antioxidants. And how do you know if they have antioxidants? Well, if you cut a food, so if I cut like a banana, I cut it up and leave it on the counter. I cut up an apple and I leave it on the counter. I cut up cherries or blueberries or blackberries. I'll leave them on the counter. Think about what happens, an hour, 2 hours later. The berries, they're all juicy. They may be a little drier when I come back, but the apple is going to be kind of brown unless it's one of those that's been hybridized not to turn brown. And the banana is going to be kind of brown. It's because they're lower in antioxidants. They don't have the antioxidants to prevent that rusting, that aging, where the berries and the cherries and things do. So we want to eat those foods to help to prevent the aging and also to help with those repair mechanisms.
so the next food for inflammation is garlic, and I love garlic.
Yes.
I mean, it can help you lower your cholesterol. It's good for your circulation. It's good for your immune system. It's good to fight bugs, like bacteria. What was it?
Antimicrobial,
Oh yeah, antifungal.
antifungal, antibacterial. Yes, antiviral. Garlic, amazing.
It's amazing. And we did a podcast on garlic not too long ago about how it helps with muscle strength
That's
and with
right. I
your
forgot about
nervous
that.
system. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So garlic, awesome. And then mushrooms. Mushrooms help with immune modulation. They help with keeping your immune system strong. They have beta glucans in them, which helps with our gut lining. They're wonderful for brain health. We hear about a lot of studies on mushrooms in the brain, and they also protect against cancers and things like that. I remember reading a study where just it might have been a half of a button mushroom a day can help prevent certain forms of cancers from forming. And so I love to include mushrooms. My husband doesn't like to eat mushrooms, but I do try to cook them as often as I can.
Yes, I was looking. I'm nursing a sick dog right now, and they have a supplement. I think it's a reishi. Is it a
Uh-huh.
reishi or I think it's reishi mushroom. I was researching it, and a lot of people are giving it to their senior dogs, and it's helping the dogs walk better because it increases the immune system. So it helps
Right.
the dog with inflammation. So I've seen a lot of reviews where their dogs can walk better, they have more energy, and these are old dogs, like over 10 years old.
Yeah.
Mushrooms, I think everybody should include them in their weekly diet. I need to eat more. I used to eat a lot more mushrooms, just haven't gotten lately. But yeah, they're really good for you. And
Yeah.
Christopher Hobbs, if you want to learn about mushrooms, Christopher Hobbs is the expert, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. We took a class on a whole day class from
Yeah.
him on mushrooms. Yeah. I even bought his book on mushrooms and I follow him on social media too. Yeah. He's awesome. Yes.
What about some herbs? Some herbs for
Yeah,
inflammation.
let's get into the herbs. Ginger's my number one. Ginger, I even juice it. Ginger is wonderful it's very warming. If you think about it, if you eat some ginger, it's really spicy and hot on your tongue, that kind of thing. That spiciness helps with circulation. It brings circulation to the area. But ginger is also very, very anti-inflammatory. We hear about turmeric, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on. But ginger is highly anti-inflammatory. It's wonderful for relieving pain. It helps with circulation. We hear about it helping people with motion sickness, with morning sickness. It's wonderful for digestion and calming the digestive tract as well.
And I mean, a lot of grocery stores have it. I see it at Walmart. I see it at Publix.
Yeah, you can make a tea. You
They
can
can
put it,
think about me like
grate it. Yeah,
yeah.
grate it over your foods. Like I said, I put it in, I juice it. So I'll do like celery juice with lemon and ginger, just because it's so great. And so many studies have shown how it is also so anti-microbial. When I don't know if you have Stephen Bruner's books, like antivirals and antibacterials, in pretty much every condition, ginger juice is involved in there. It is
Wow.
just so protective for the body.
I believe that because the ginger shots, they are.
Yeah.
Of course, do we have to talk about turmeric? Turmeric is a
Yes.
very, very popular herb. I mean, it's been researched a lot. One reason is because they actually isolated the curcumin out of it.
Right. And then we see those isolates, and that's what gets all the attention. But we like whole food. We like the whole plant.
Hey, I give it to my dogs. I make a tincture and it helps them. I've given it to some of my clients that had a lot of pain. It helped their pain. But also, if I'm making a turmeric tincture, I always add black peppercorns.
Right.
Helps the absorption.
Right. Helps with it. Right. And we talked a lot about that in the School of Natural Healing too. Yeah, I mean that's probably the most famous. And then another one that's really great is rosemary. And it's so easy to add rosemary to different foods, but you can also buy like rosemary essential oil. You can make your own rosemary extract. I prefer just to put it on my foods.
Yeah.
Put it in a little grinder, like a pepper grinder, and then just grind rosemary onto your foods.
Wow. You dry it first before you do that?
Yes, yes. And one of the things we don't hear about enough, not only is it wonderful for inflammation, especially chronic, is helps with repairing micro circulation as well. And so the really tiny capillaries, the ends of our toes, end of our fingers, and think about in your brain. And so it really helps with brain circulation as well and increasing blood flow through the brain. So I do love to use rosemary.
Another one is holy basil, which is it's kind of popular, I guess, but it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps with stress. It helps. I believe it can help lower cortisol. Is that one of those? It helps lower cortisol.
Yeah, and it goes by Tulsi as well, so holy basil or Tulsi. I grow it. It smells so good. Putting it in the dehydrator, it just aromatherapy in the house is very calming and soothing, helps with the mood, and I also love to include it in my bedtime tea.
Another one is nettle, and nettle is like a multivitamin. It's got
Yeah.
so many minerals in it.
Yes. And so I keep saying my favorites, but nettle is what I wrote my thesis on. Yes, it's one of the highest, it's out of all the greens, it's one of the highest in minerals that you can have. And so having a nettle tea is kind of like taking a vitamin and mineral supplement, especially if you pair it with some like peppermint, then you just got a bunch of vitamin C and you're getting all of your minerals for the day. And so what a wonderful way to help with repairing cells from damage. It's just wonderful.
And of course, we talked about it a little bit, but you have to work on your stress. And look, everybody has it. So
Yeah. What are your stressors and what are you doing about it? Reflecting over your day. At the end of the day, don't criticize yourself. Don't blame. Don't say, I should have. Just reflect. What did I do today? Did I wake up, jump up out of the bed, grab my phone, and start looking at my phone? That's cortisol, cortisol, cortisol. Or did I lay in the bed and reflect for a few minutes? Did I lay in the bed, take a couple of deep breaths, and think about what I'm grateful for this morning, and then get up out of the bed and then go do a couple of things before I picked up my phone, right? So, which one would be a better way to start your day? Did I pause before my meals? Did I pay attention? Can I remember what I ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner today? And did I eat them mindfully? Did I sit down and actually look at my food? Did I taste those cherries on my breakfast this morning? Or was I distracted and I didn't even remember eating them? Right? And so don't judge yourself. Just what are some little things that you could do a little differently tomorrow?
now I like that you brought up waking up and not picking up your phone.
Yeah, they've showed that. I can't remember where I saw this study. It was one of the classes I did for continuing education classes. But if you wake up and you pick up your phone, that cortisol spike, if you do it right away, will take 2 hours to go away. And so maybe you wake up, you look at your phone, you're checking everything really quick, and then you're putting it down to go do your meditation. Well, guess what? Your meditation's great. I'm so glad you did your meditation. But it's not going to be as effective as if you woke up and then you did your meditation and then you went and picked up your phone.
Yeah, so it's good to have a little phone fast in the morning. Like sometimes I may not eat until 11. So maybe you might not want to pick up your phone till 11 if you can do that.
Right, right.
I mean, it's addictive. I mean, I'm addicted to mine.
I do it.
I
Yeah,
fall asleep.
sometimes I'll wake up, go brush my teeth, and grab my phone. I'm looking at my phone while I'm brushing my teeth.
Yeah.
Why? And now my phone, granted, is not in my bedroom. We have a no phone in the bedroom rule at our house. We don't even have a TV or anything in our bedrooms. No TV, no electronics. Um, but some people I know their phone is their alarm clock. And so they immediately wake up to their phone and pick it up. Or they roll over, grab it, and they're looking at their phone. And so it's the light, the light shining in your eyes. And then it's also, if you're scrolling, you're clicking on something, then you're getting those little, like you said, the dopamine, you're getting little dopamine hits and things like that. And so we get addicted to it.
So let's talk about the few simple lifestyle practices that can help us relax.
Yes. Okay.
Walking. I mean, everybody has access to walking, right? You can just go if there's a nice park in your area with some trees and things like that. You can go
Yes.
walk out in nature. That is great for your
Being
inflammation.
out in nature is fabulous. Yeah, just doing some deep breathing outside,
Oh, yeah.
paying attention, looking outside and getting out that morning light too. Like if you're having trouble sleeping, getting out first thing in the morning, watching the sun come up if you can get up that early, or just the different rays we have. We don't know this, don't notice this. You'll notice when you're looking outside how the lighting is different throughout the day, but that morning light really helps us with, excuse me, creating melatonin later in the evening. And, the light changes at night to naturally prepare us for sleep, but then we turn on all the artificial lights in our home. We're looking at our phone, another artificial light, and so that distracts that. And so getting out in nature and walking are so important.
And hobby you might like, gardening. A lot of people, gardening helps them because it's, you're working with the earth, you're working with nature again.
Yeah.
And journaling, my therapist told me about journaling. I still haven't picked up the habit, but I hear that a lot of people really get help with a journal.
Yeah, I'm another one that has trouble with that, but some people they love it and they do a great job. I did for many years. I had a little notebook by the bed, and when I get in the bed, I'd write down three things that I was grateful for from today,
Yeah.
and I loved that actually. And then I remember as a teenager, I struggled with a lot of different things when I was a teenager, but I remember reading somewhere, it's probably a magazine or something, that to write just writing down five things that made you smile today or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it's the we attract what we're writing. If you start thinking about, like, if I just say tell me three things you're grateful for, you can tell me three things and your mind is immediately going looking for more things to be grateful for. And so, the five things that made me smile or laugh today, my brain is searching for that. Maybe I can only think of one thing, but it's still searching for the other things that made me laugh and smile today. And so we want that. We want the positive aspects. And so really bringing those things to mind. And so for me, I didn't journal, but having that little notebook where I could write down three things. And it's really awesome to go back later and look. And then, I'm going on a tangent for a second. But one of the things I started 2 years ago was I have this clear glass vase in my room with little strips of paper. And each week, or if something happens at the end of the week, I reflect what was the best thing that happened this week. And I write it down on a piece of paper and I stick it in the vase. And then on New Year's Eve, I open up and look, this past year, look at all these great things that happened this past year. And sometimes I'll contact my kids, what's the best thing that happened for you this week? And I'll write it down and add that to the jar too. But those different things just really help us with our mindset and with relaxation and joy. And it's crazy to think that that also helps us with repairing ourselves as well.
And another thing, and I feel like this is a problem these days, is having a social network. And I'm not talking about social media.
Right.
I'm talking about having some friends that you can actually talk to, that you can trust. You can talk to them about your problems and they actually care. That is healing. Let me tell you something. My mom has kind of, some bad anxiety. And sometimes she would call me and, she's in kind of a anxiety, chronic thing. And I
Hmm.
can talk to her and talk her out of the anxiety attack.
Yeah. But thank goodness she has you to talk her through it.
Yeah, I know. And so it's not easy to make friends, especially after a certain age, but it's definitely worth the effort.
Right. I think so too. Yeah. So important.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we are at the end of our time. But there are other things that we can do as well to help with inflammation. It's just so important to A, recognize it, and then B, find things that help with cooling your stress, but adding in foods and herbs, remembering that the foods and herbs are not they're not a cure-all. It has to be a combination of all these things together. And inflammation is not bad. We want it, the right response to inflammation to help with healing and nurturing our cells and providing the nutrition where it needs to go. So we hope this discussion helps you better understand how foods and herbs and your daily activities can influence inflammation and your health. Remember, healing doesn't come from just that one thing. It has to be the combination. We can't just do the one thing. I can't just go work out in the gym and lift weights 3 days a week and expect my whole body to change and be strong and healthy and sleep well and all that. I have to do all the different things. And unfortunately, we do have to do the work. Sometimes we don't want to do the work, but we do have to do the work. When you do the work and you concentrate on the joy and the wonderful things that doing the work helps you to achieve, it's amazing. Do you have anything you want to add before we close?
No, I couldn't say it better than that. I mean, you just have to, it's a process. And you can't just rely on just one thing.
Yes. To find out more about Dan, go to danthenaturalman.com. You can find out more about me at holisticgen.com. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone you know who's interested in natural healing. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing. We'll talk to you again next week.